Welcome back. This is our fifth little tutorial on our little shooter game. This tutorial will take us through collisions between the enemy and the hero shot and the enemy and the hero. So by the time this is done, we'll have a quick little game that sort of works, but we've got a lot more to go. So to start, let's start by having our hero shot here come in contact with our enemy here. And what we're going to want initially is just to record a contact between the two. And I think what we want to have happen is every time we hit an enemy, instead of having it completely and totally disappear, what we'll have the enemy do is every time we hit it, we'll have them respawn to the top of the game so that the enemies respawn and we don't have to keep getting new code to get more and new enemies. So, let's have a look here. First thing we're going to do is work on our enemy. So on our enemy, we've got this forever, move 5 steps. If Y position is less than -175, then they'll respawn to the top of the screen. And that's going to be our most important piece. But right below that, we're going to throw in another if statement. And this is where we're going to test whether or not our enemy is going to be touching our hero shot. So that, of course, requires sensing. So down on our blue, we'll bring in an if touching. And we'll bring down if our enemy is touching our hero shot. And this is why names are important. We don't want to leave things generic Sprite names. We always want good names that describe what we're working with so we can bring them into the code. So if touching the hero shot, all we want this thing to do right now is just jump back to the top of the screen. So in order to get it to jump back to the top of the screen, we're just going to use another one of these again. And so I'm just going to duplicate that piece and drop it right in here. So if we start from over here, we get all of these guys going. Actually, I need to start the whole game in order to make this work. We won't have to do this shortly. Whoa, look at all these guys. But what I've basically got happening now, there's too many. What did I do to get so many of these guys? Let's stop that and restart this game again. We'll press play once. There we go. Now, each time we hit one of these enemies, they should respawn at the top of the screen. So we always seem to have about 5 guys. Now, they're still going to pass through our hero. We don't have any code for that yet. And we have another bit of a problem with this is that if I get these guys lined up right, I can have one shot pass through a whole bunch of bad guys. And that's not going to be really conducive to our game. We're going to want one bad guy, one shot. Okay, so we're going to work on fixing that. But what we got right now is a simple collision detection. And what we're also going to do is we're also going to want to collect points for hitting these guys. So I just want to show you how we're going to collect points for them first, and then we'll do one shot equals one bad guy. And I'm going to show you a way that we're going to need to work on our timing, because if you don't work on your timing, you can get some really crazy things happening. So let's come over to variables, and let's make a variable called hits. And this is basically going to be how many times we've hit the bad guy. So let's make a variable. Let's call variable hits. And we'll say OK to our hits variable. And then we're going to work with this hits variable on our enemy, I believe. We're going to work with it on the enemy, or we're going to work with it on the hero shot. Let me have a quick look here. Yeah, we're going to work with our hits on our enemy, just what I thought we were going to do. All right, so we're going to be on the enemy, this code here. And so we've got this if touching hero shot, go to X, so we're going to respawn. But after we hit the enemy and it respawns to the top of the screen, we are going to want to change the hit value. So at the beginning of any game, hits should be set to 0. So we're going to bring that over here near the top. So set hits to 0 right at the beginning. And then we are going to, every time we hit them, we're going to change the hits by 1. Now you're going to see this isn't going to work perfectly. So here we go. Watch what's going to happen when I hit these guys. I haven't hit 10 guys yet I have more than 10. I haven't hit 19 guys yet, but I have more than 19. Now the reason I get so many hits without hitting enough guys is this shot is moving really fast. And that shot sometimes moves through the enemy before the game has the time to remove the enemy and put it back at the top of the screen. So a single enemy can record a whole bunch of hits at once because the timing is a bit off. So what we're going to do is we are going to adjust the timing on the hero shot so that when the hero shot touches the enemy, it touches for a fraction of a second, and then the enemy respawns, and we don't get multiple hits per enemy. Now, it's not going to be perfect to begin with. We're going to make a couple of minor changes to it. So let's go to the hero shot. Now I'm going to show you where we're going to make those couple of quick changes. Now, like the enemy has an if touching hero shot, we're going to have to add into this if touching enemy. So we've got our repeat until, or on here we have our if repeat until y is less than. So we're going to build this inside this repeat until. We're going to bring in a control. We're going to bring in an if, and below the move 10 steps, right in here, we're going to bring in if touching enemy. So this is going to check to see if our hero shot is going to touch our enemy. So if touching our enemy, we are going to automatically delete the clone of the hero shot. Now, again, this is not going to be perfect. I'm going to show you why this one's not going to be perfect. So we'll start up the game again. And what you're going to find is if we delete those clones, just trying to make one shot and trying to remove them, some of our enemies are needing multiple shots to be killed. And that's not working perfectly yet either. And the reason for that is where before it was too slow and we were getting too many counts. Now we're too fast and we're not getting enough counts. So that is going to be needed a time adjusting on our hero shot. So where we put in this delete this clone on our hero shot, we're now too fast. We need to bring a weight block in here and throw a weight block right in here. And this weight block is going to be adjusted. We're going to start and see which adjustment works better, 0.1 seconds. Now, this 0.1 seconds that we're going to wait is going to be just enough to get rid of the enemies. But also, that shot will be gone before the next shot comes out because those shots are at 0.2 seconds. So this is half the time it takes to regenerate a shot, which is important. You can't have it take any longer, otherwise another shot might appear before anything happens. So let's go back. We'll restart this game. And now we should have one shot per one enemy. And we've got these hits happening and we're hitting these guys. But of course, we can play forever and collect as many hits as we want because we're never in danger. Because if the enemy hits us, well, too bad, so sad, they just go right through us. So we are going to work on that. We're going to start with a simple version of the game where if the enemy hits the hero, we're just going to end the game. Later on, one of the last things we'll do is we'll build lives into the game where you'll have 3 lives, or the enemies can hit you at different times and you'll lose lives, and then eventually you'll lose the game. But we're going to start with a very simple, what happens if the enemy hits the hero. And we're going to code that on the enemy. And actually, I think we should have a couple of things thrown in here. One of the things I think we should do is I think we should add a new sprite. I think we should add a simple game over sprite. So let's just create ourselves a new sprite. I'm going to call it game over. And it's going to be just very much like the game over sprite we used in our previous game. And I'm just going to type game over on the screen. It's a little hard to see here because it's all in the white. I'm going to do that. And my game over stuff is there. And yeah, let's make it a little easier to see. Let's make it a little easier to see by just choosing yourself a backdrop. So go pick yourself a backdrop from all of the backdrops. It'll make the game a little easier to see. Oh, geez, that one there looks perfect for what I'm doing. So there we go. I got a game over. And then I'm just going to throw a little bit of code into our game over for when the game starts. We don't want to see it. So I'm going to do a quick events. When I receive start, we're going to have that thing. We're going to have it hide. And we'll come back to this game over. And what else do I want to do it? I also want to center it. not quite in the center of the screen because I think that's where we have our play. So I'm going to move it a bit higher than that, but I'm going to have a go to XY thrown in here. And that go to XY will be in the center, but I'll put it up at about, 80 pixels. So actually I can just move it to that 80 pixels right here. Yeah, that's a good spot for it. And then we'll see what happens. This is just a simple game over. We'll be changing this a bit as we go, and that's going to be nicely useful to us. All right, so when you got that built, well, I'll just pause here for a second while you get that built. All right, now let's carry on, and we're going to come back to the enemy and see what happens when the enemy touches the hero. So if the enemy touches the hero, we kind of want the game to end. So here's how we're going to do that. Below the if touching hero shot, we're going to go to control. We're going to bring in another if. And this time, we'll bring in the touching, as we would with anything else, out of light blue. And this one's going to be if touching our hero. Again, making sure things are named appropriate. We're going to use that same delay that we used with our shots to make sure that the hit gets registered. So immediately, we're going to do a wait of 0.1 seconds. And then what we're going to do is we are going to do a broadcast of game over. So let me come here to our events, and we're going to do a broadcast, except we're going to do a new broadcast message, and this new broadcast message is going to be game over. So when the enemy touches the hero, it'll broadcast game over for us. And when it broadcasts game over for us, what we're going to do is we're going to have it pull up the game over sprite. So if we go to the game over sprite, this one is going to do when I receive game over, it's going to show. And then we're going to do a really quick stop all. Let's see if the stop all does something. We'll probably have to change the stop all out of here, but we'll bring in a stop all. And the stop all is under control. We'll bring in a stop all just so we can test this out. What happens if this guy hits? All right, game over, everything stopped. Okay, that works. So if I come back and play the game again, game over, good. Next thing that's going to happen is this play button. We can get it to show up now so we don't have to keep coming back here to play it. When the game's over, we're going to want our play button to show up. So this is going to work with a when I receive game over, show. So if we now play this game, if we get hit by a bad guy, we get a stop all, we get a play. We can now hit our play button. Every time we lose, we get a new play button. Every time we restart, I can shoot these guys. Hope I don't get hit by them. They respawn at the top. They hit me. Game's over. Play. Now, there's some things that we can add to have this game look better when we hit bad guys and when bad guys hit the hero, because right now they just go away and nothing happens with the hero. So we're going to put in a few graphic effects here in order to have that gameplay a little bit better. So the first thing we're going to do is when we hit the enemies, we're going to have the enemies kind of make it look like the enemies are sort of either fading out or exploding a bit when they get hit. So that's going to be a fairly straightforward piece of code if they're being touched by the hero shot. So right here, if touched by the hero shot, before they jump up and to the top of the screen, we're going to have them sort of fade out. So we're going to bring in a repeat. And this is going to be a little tricky, so you got to watch. I'm going to try to put the repeat right in here. And then these two pieces of code got to click right in there. So make sure it looks just like this. So inside the if touching hero shot, we've got this same code, and the repeat now sits right above it. And we're going to take that repeat 10 and return to a repeat 4. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a pixelate effect to just change the way that our bad guys look. So we're going to go to looks, we're going to bring this change color effect by 25, and we're going to move that change color effect to change pixelate effect, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run it. Now you're going to see something really goofy happen here after you shoot everybody the first time. So when I shoot somebody, I got to make sure I get one to shoot here. Oh, it looks like he kind of faded away there. I don't want to shoot too many of them because I want to show you what's happening. Oh, look, they're all kind of faded, and they're all kind of looking a bit goofy here. And everybody continues to look goofy. And the reason everybody kind of continues to look goofy, I'm actually going to change that to a repeat 5 and see if that makes it look any better. Yeah, now it kind of looks like something's happening to the enemies. But they're all coming back pixelated. The reason they're coming back pixelated is because we've added this effect. Now, if we want them to come back without that effect, we have to take this effect off when they respawn. So the way to do that, really straightforward, is grab this clear graphics effect, and every time a clone gets started, so a clone gets generated, they go to their top position, and then what they do when they go to their top position is they clear their graphic effect. That's the very first thing they will do, which will bring them back looking normal. So now if we play the game, we shoot the bad guys. Oops, if I don't get shot myself, they'll kind of fade out. And then they restart at the top without their graphic effect. And I could make that last longer. I could take that and make that graphic effect repeat 10 times. And let's see if that changes anything here. Let's play. Does it look any better at 10 times? The problem with 10 times is sometimes we can get another shot there before they disappear. So 10 times is a little too long. That's why I'm going to set it back to about 5. So 5 works pretty good. Now that works with our enemy, how they're kind of fading out and going away back to the top of the screen. When we want something similar like that to happen to our hero as well, that if our hero is getting hit, we want our hero to sort of do the same kind of thing, to pixelate out. Now, we're not going to do that with a direct contact. We could do that with a direct contact with the hero, but we can also do it by having it, well, let's do it with a direct contact with the hero. We'll change it later in the game. So let's go here. In a forever, we can do that. We'll kind of stick it over by itself whenever you start for keep race next costume. Let's make another one of those. When I receive start, bring in a forever loop. If touching the enemy, we will have looks pixelate out. Now this one we can leave it at we do if touching the enemy. We can bring in a repeat 10 times. And then we can do that quick change pixelate effect. By 25. Now we can also have them change each time. We can make them kind of explode up a bit, but we'll check this a bit, and then we'll kind of change the effect of it, make him explode up a bit. And then what we want him to do is we want him to kind of go away. We want him to kind of hide, so it makes it look like he goes away. So what we're going to do is hide him. And then we'll do a stop all in here. And I'm going to take the stop all away from another part. And the reason, oops, this should have been, oh, that'll work. And we'll do a stop all in here. So he'll pixelate out, then he'll hide, then he'll stop all, which means I can go to the game over and get rid of the stop all here. don't want two stop alls, want a single stop all. So let's see if this works, and then we'll change it from there. So we'll press play. We'll get hit on purpose. We'll get a hit on purpose. There we go. He kind of fades away, stop all. Now, when he gets hit, we might want the enemies to disappear. He also just kind of fades away a little bit quick. We can make that a little more dramatic by not just having him fade away. We can also have him look like he's kind of exploding a bit by throwing in a change size by 5. So now if we run this and he gets hit, there we go. He kind of explodes up and out, and then he's gone, he's hidden. And the thing is, when the game starts, we have show right at the beginning, so that's no problem. Oops, this is the button I want to press. So each time it starts, he shows. Each time the game is over, he hides. And now we have a really basic game. Next tutorial, we're going to take this game and we're going to ramp it up a bit more. We're going to keep track of points. We're going to speed the enemy up. We'll eventually bring in a boss, and then we'll work towards lives and a few other things like that. So that'll be our next tutorial.